Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of Seeking Sister Wife. This is season 4, episodes 9, 10, 11, and 12. My name is Wah, and I do recaps of relationship reality TV shows such as Seeking Sister Wife, 90 Day Fiancé, Love After Lockup, etc. So if you are at all interested in that content, please go on ahead and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share on any social media platform that you deem fit. And if you at all have the hee hee ha-has through this and you would like to drop your girl a tip, please do so. You can also do a thank you, which is right by the thumbs up. Check it out. For those of you guys who are hashtag replay gang, thank you so much for being here. I should have a timestamp in the comment section. Oh, actually, I started right away, so you don't even have to worry about it. You know what I do need to do is put my timestamp on the other video I did. Thank you for those of you who are joining me on this live right now. Hi, Zelle. Hi again. Hi, Summer of Dragonfly. JJ Video Reacts. Hi. So let's jump right in. First of all, JJ Video Reacts. I want to tell you that I do see your things that you're sending me. I just cannot open up and read and look at all of them. So I see it. I see you. There's a lot happening. So just know that I'm not ignoring you. I see you. I see you. Hi, Renee. Hi, Babs. Hi, JW. Oh, you guys weren't here for the 90 Day Fiance, were you? I love that you're here for this one. Let me go on and add my timestamp to 90 Day Fiance porque I do not want people to be like, oh, you didn't do timestamp. We're gonna get started in just a few seconds. You know, I'm really making my internet work. Alrighty, what is this time step now? So we're gonna get started at 2:30. Alrighty, so hi, let's talk about these couples. I have a lot to say about everybody, obviously, because I didn't realize that I had taken 4 weeks off. That was not intentional at all, you guys. I really thought I was only 2 weeks behind, and I was wrong. So let's go ahead and start with the Davis family because I feel like they had the most interesting situation. So this is Nick and April and Jennifer, or April, Nick, and Jennifer, to put it in order for who they are. So they're having a beachside conversation where they discuss possibly bringing Danielle into the fold. They say that it hasn't been super long. It hasn't been that long of a time since they started dating Danielle, and that she seems pretty amiable and like she would fit right into their family. However, Nick is a little concerned because he says that there have been instances where they've brought somebody in and that person has truly thought that they were interested and ready for this type of relationship. But then when they kind of got into it, they didn't, they realized that the dynamic that these people have may not be that's one that's good for them. Nick says that the people, they were not honest with themselves about this arrangement. And I would like to say that I do think of all the ways that the each couple presents their polygamous lifestyle is that Nick and Amber, or the Davises, the crew, they do theirs differently. That whole sleeping in the same bed business is interesting, isn't it? It's a very interesting choice to do that. I don't necessarily know that any of the other couples do that. And this idea that they go off into another room to have their intimate time, I don't quite believe that. And listen, if you want to lay in the bed and watch and it does something for you, I get it. I'm not here to judge you. Like, I'm like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I honestly feel like if they were to admit that they do that, this would have taken their relatability, or it would have taken the audience like on a completely different journey. And people would have been very much like, oh, see, it's all about sex. It's all about sex. But the fact is that it is, to me, awkward for that to be the case. If we are camping, sure. If we're a nomadic tribe and you all sleep with each other, Absolutely, it makes sense. For A, body heat. B, you ain't got time to be lugging around 3 different, tents for each wife. Like, I get it. But currently in these United States, where you're able to buy a multi-room home, it just simply doesn't make any sense to sleep in the same bed if you don't have to. That means that is some kind of, to me, that's intimacy. That's intimacy for the women. Like, you may not be actually having sex, but the fact that you want to all like snore in the same room together, you all want to like accidentally touch each other while you're rolling around, like, yes, I know people who are in platonic relationships, like say siblings, do it all the time, but it's not like they if siblings do it all the time, it's usually on vacation. It's usually because this is all they can afford and they're sisters and they sleep in the same room. They've got a queen or a king and they're sharing a room, but there are usually circumstances surrounding it. I would say that it is not common for sisters to just, or brothers to just decide to share a bed with each other, even though they could easily have their own bedrooms. I mean, there could be some people. I'm not saying that there isn't, but it isn't common. And so for you to still do it with your, like, a sister wife is another layer of like, you know? So in this latest episode, they actually do talk about the fact that they want an Alaskan king bed. I don't know if you guys know this, but there are titles for their bed. Like the 12-foot by 12-foot, I think is either a Wyoming or an Alaskan king. Like, look it up. So there's California king, and there's like standard regular king, right, which is a certain length, but then there's California king, which skimps on the this way and provides much more leg room. I personally like a regular king. California kings are good, but I don't need more leg room. I just need more rolling around space. And then you've got like an Alaskan king and a Wyoming king. Not sure which one is bigger, but like there are things such as this, right? We know that. Or if you don't know, now you know. So I thought that was really interesting because like they really are hell bent on sleeping in the same room, like just like sharing a bed. Just like so interesting to me because no other polygamous couple on the show does that. And I already gave my theory about what's really going on. So the episode 9, we end up finding out that Jennifer is pregnant, and I don't know how long they've been hiding it from us, but by the time we see, it's snow outside, right? When they're having their like little moment by the beach end, it's obviously not snowing. But then I'm also like, are they at a lake? They must be at a lake because they're at Colorado, right? Anyways, so it's obviously not too cold yet. And then when we see that she's pregnant, it's been a few months because the weather has changed. And she looks like she's about 4 months, you know? So they go into a baby store, and I just don't understand what is the point of them being so awkward about their not awkward, but like shocking the people with their relationship. Um, yeah, I guess I just am like, maybe because I've been watching the show too long. I just feel like that every time they meet somebody who's supposed to sell them something, it's like, actually, we're this and we're that, which, is weird because it wouldn't happen if the cameras weren't there. Anyway, so Nick is getting really excited about all the little baby clothes, and he's also a little nervous about the fact that he's going to be a stay-at-home dad, and we're all just so happy that Nick is going to be doing something. We are all just so happy that Jennifer is pregnant, and we're happy for them and for her, but we're also happy that Nick will now have a job. Because it didn't settle well with any of us that he didn't have a job. It just didn't settle well. It just like, listen, if you're going to have a harem, I support it, but you need to work. Or you need to clean. You need to cook and clean. These ladies should have a home cooked meal. Okay. They shouldn't have to buy their lunches. You need to make lasagna and whatever the night food is, and then you need to make their food. Like they need to have packed glass Tupperware lunches. You know what I'm saying? Like they need a Pyrex Tupperware with the food in which you have made for them. And you need to prepare it for them. So when they leave the house, they have a cup of coffee in their hand, a little snacky for breakfast, and their lunch pail. And then when they come home, they need to have a clean house and they need to have dinner set. Because what are you doing all day? There's that. So that's how we all feel about Nick not bloody working. So they then in the episode, I think 11, they go look for a house, and They again shock the realtor with the fact that they're a polygamous family and that they need a big bedroom because, Jennifer wants that huge bed. Well, I think Jennifer and April can have whatever they want because it's their money. They're the ones paying for all of this. And I'm just like, why can't y'all just be in the basement? Why can't your bedroom be in the basement so that you can have that big space? Didn't he just tell you that it's like 2,000 square feet on top and another 1,000 square feet below? Y'all have room. Y'all have room. So Davis, what's his name? Nick. Nick has got himself a fedora, you guys. And this last 2 episodes, he is wearing that fedora. That man could not wait for it to get cold so that he could wear that overcoat and a fedora. And it's interesting because like an overcoat is specifically designed for a suit. Okay. An overcoat, it's called an overcoat because it's a coat that goes over another coat. And that coat underneath it is usually like, tails or a blazer or something like that. I said, man, if you don't get yourself a beanie and a puffy coat and call it a day, like, where are you going, sir? Where are you going? Are you walking down the streets and tipping your hats at the ladies? Are you going to juke joints and speakeasies? Where art thou going with that hat? Now, I'm not saying that it didn't look good. He looked good when he did the proposal, right? I was here for the silk like fuchsia shirt and the waistcoat and the little, like, I guess was a little pocket watch with the chain, perhaps a monocle or attached. I was even here for the eyeliner and the eyeshadow. I was here for it. I was here for the fedora and I was here for that outfit. But when you're looking at a house, you got on a top, you got on a fedora and an overcoat. I was just I was a little taken aback. I was a little taken aback. School these fashion criminals. Which is taken aback. Okay. So anywho, they are all very excited about the prospect of looking for a new home, but before they sign on the dotted line, they would like to truly invite Danielle into their lives. And I don't know exactly how long Danielle and Nick have been dating because honestly, our first scene with her, she's wearing a long sleeve red dress with boots. And then our last scene we see with her, she's wearing a long sleeve short dress with boots. Or maybe she wasn't wearing boots, but definitely tights this time. And I'm like, she's wearing the same outfits every season. I can't tell what the weather's like. So they plan this time with her and she feels like she thinks something is up because all they did was plan it and just tell her to show up. And they've got this elaborate plan to ask her to marry and they want to do it together because of the way that their polygamy works. And they really ladies at least really feel like they are ready to bring Danielle in. And I think that Nick has reservations because as soon as they start to tell him that he needs to propose to her, he gets all shaky and awkward as though it's the first time. Now, this just could be him and his capacity to love different women equally. And so it doesn't matter that he's done it before. It's new that it's with it because it's with Danielle, it's new. And so that's what we could be seeing, or we could be seeing a man who like isn't ready and doesn't think she's ready and like doesn't want to propose yet, but feels like if he doesn't propose, then he's gonna have to like try to explain to his women why he doesn't think Danielle is right or why they need more time. And I don't know. I just don't know what it is, but he's nervous. And they are excited that he's nervous. I think it's really cute that he's nervous. So they all go out, they pick up Danielle, and here's the truth. Sometimes you watch people on this show and you wonder how other people emote and show affection for those around them. Because everyone does it so differently. When she got into that car, it didn't feel like it either felt like she's known them forever and doesn't feel the need to greet everybody in the way that I would greet them, or she's still uncomfortable. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much to it. So she gets into the car with them and they go and they have dinner in a watchtower. And when she walks in there, she sees roses and champagne and a little table. And so she's like, oh, this is, I guess, a very sweet thing. I don't know. Did she think that they were just celebrating their anniversary? Like, what did she think? Because if I walk to into a space, a beautifully well lit space, not well lit. If I walk into a beautifully like candle lit space and there's like champagne already on the table and there's like roses on the ground, I'm gonna assume somebody's marrying me. That's what I'm gonna assume. There is no. I hope that no man ever does that to me because if he don't get on bended knee, I'm gonna be real disappointed about this overture. I'm gonna be like, what? You we can have a romantic dinner, but like rose petals on the ground? Oh, I don't know what it is. Unless Prince Hakeem is somewhere in the vicinity, I'm gonna assume we getting married. So yeah, so she sits down and Nick is very, very nervous and he presents the wedding ring and then he says, okay, Danielle, and he looks at them and they all say, will you marry us? And Danielle's like, are you serious? Like, she doesn't know what to do. And they then present her with her birthstone engagement ring. And then they put their rings together like Captain Planet. And then we see their little ass rings. And then we see his, like, you know, what it looks like is like a 4x4 square ring that has just like diamonds all in it. I mean, I was like, is this Mike Tyson's hand? Like, why is that your ring? It looks like it's a like national championship ring of some kind of sport, except for it doesn't have a color in it, but it's big. It's big. So they're doing a lot of nervous giggling, and the nervous giggling was like, nervous giggling is annoying to me, but when it's like 3 people nervously giggling, oh my god. Oh my god. I get so awkward when people are awkward that I get really uncomfortable. Let me say that. It's not awkward. I get very uncomfortable that I must leave the situation because I'm like, I don't know what's happening here, but I want none of it. And that's what their giggling gave me. I did like April's dress. I didn't know what was happening. It was like a cape on one side, but I was here for it. I was here for it. I did like the way Jennifer was dressed as well. I mean, she was wearing like a not a sequin dress, but a sparkly dress. It was giving me New Year's Eve. It was like, I wonder what restaurant did they go to? Did they go to like a restaurant in a castle? Because I mean, I guess castles don't have clock towers. Did they go to like in my mind, they went to like some wizard themed like event. Not wizards, but like magical folk. Like people who perform magic. Oh, magician, that's what it is. It look it looked like they were at some kind of like cosplay event, but not super like cosplay. Does that make sense? I almost felt like he needed a instead of that overcoat, what he needed with that fedora was a cape and like a cane. He was giving like if he just had a cape and a cane, it would have very much given like Sailor Moon tuxedo man or whatever her lover's name was. Anyways, so she's crying, they're crying, and then she says yes after they go. So do you want to? And she's like, yes. And then we see next episode that her friend is going to be like, no, you are being manipulated. And listen, if I were the friend, I would say the same thing. And two, why is it that these couples are always going after these young ass girls? Because Danielle's only 21, 22 years old, you guys. There is absolutely no way that this person should be allowed to make lifelong commitments at that age. I don't care if it's polygamy, monogamy, or whatever, especially if you're marrying somebody who is older than you. It is not fair because at least if two 21-year-olds or 22-year-olds or like whatever get married, they can all just kind of grow up together and they can learn to love each other at different stages in their lives. Like, I'm okay with that. But what it is that they are asking Danielle to do is enter into basically a covenant, like a lifelong, in these kinds of relationships and polygamy relationships, and not to say that in monogamous relationships this doesn't affect you as much, but if you are a part of a polygamous household where there's many wives and many children, having one of the wives defect, because that is what it's going to feel like. Having one of the wives defect is going to crush a lot of people. And I just feel like the choice to be in polygamy is a bigger and grander choice. And it's just it just seems like as a bigger time commitment, and it's a bigger commitment of your whole self. That would be one of the things that I think that, because it's not just one other person you're having to worry about on your own flesh and blood. You have to worry about a bunch of people that are in community with you. Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit this. So, I mean, that's just the way I think of it. Like, I just think that the two people should have the opportunity to grow together. And in the kind of dynamic that the Foleys and the Davises are doing, where they're dating somebody so much younger than them, to me is not fair, because that person is on a completely different trajectory, and you would either force them to be on your trajectory and your time of learning, or they're not. It's going to take them a while to get maturity and to do whatever to be what you need them to be, especially if they didn't grow up in it. If you grow up in it, I think you have an understanding of what the expectation is. And then you have a community of women to draw from when you are having your ups and downs with the lifestyle, when you are feeling neglected by your husband, or when you're not getting along with your sister wives. But Danielle, unless she joins some kind of Facebook group or whatever, there's no community. Her community is either her friends who are not in this lifestyle, and at every turn, every time she complains, they're going to tell her to get out of it, or she has the two people that she lives with and that maybe aren't able to help her because they're having a harder time understanding it. Now, I will say that Jennifer is young too, but I feel like Jennifer got brought into April and Nick's world differently because she worked with April. And I think that it's a different bond with people you know before you introduce them to your lifestyle than people you don't know. It's like, I feel the same way with Tasha and Sidian. I think that the chances of Ariel staying in and working it out with both Sidian and Tasha, if like things get hard, is the fact that each of them have their own separate relationship with that person. They all each have separate relationships. And when you're someone like Danielle who walks into a relationship, or a relationship with two people, so with three people, and you're basically having to court them all and hope that each of them like you, hope that individually you can hang out with each of them. Like, I think that is the most ideal way to do it, right? Is That's why I keep saying it's important for the woman to go out and find the other woman, and for them to all be friends, and then to be friends with no expectation of joining. And then once each of them have a relationship and they feel pretty sturdy, then maybe allow that person to bring up the idea of possibly joining them with like comments such as, "Oh my God, Danielle, I wish you were my sister wife." And if Danielle is like, "Oh God, I love what you guys are doing, but it couldn't be for me. I couldn't share one man," then you would know. And or if she's like, "I would love to be," then you would know that this worked out and you took the time to do so. Anywho, let's move on to the next couple. Let's move on to the Merrifields, which is always really hard to talk about them because I really do think that Danielle needs some deep therapy. The way I keep talking about the way that these people maneuver because it is so foreign to me. Danielle and Garrick seem like two people who operate in the space of not wanting to step on each other's toes. If you recall in their first season, Garrett basically told Danielle that he was going to leave her because of whatever issues they were having. Like he was sick of Danielle. He like even got the papers to file for divorce. Danielle, something is giving off very sensitive soul to me. Something is giving off very insecure and like suffers from depression and anxiety. I feel like Garrick has probably been dealing with his wife who has some kind of nervous system issue or like mental health problems. And I think that at some point after the kids, like he was just tired of it. What does Danielle do? Is she did we ever find is there ever any word about like what her job is? Is she just a stay-at-home mom? Or like Danielle seems so fragile to me that I feel like she's always ready to like break down. She cries so much through this. So much. Everything is so hard for her. The fact that Bert tells her like, "Hey, I wasn't okay with you guys looking for another wife," makes Danielle like so upset that she doesn't want to talk about it anymore and that she's overwhelmed. Girl, what is you overwhelmed about? I'm so confused. I don't I it is a lot. Something's up with Danielle. Something's up with her. And like even when Garrett talks to her and they're talking about Bert, he's constantly looking at her and like holding her like, yes, is this what we agreed on? If this is and like I can imagine that could be really, really tiring to be constantly having to be somebody's support system and constantly having to reassure them and constantly having to do whatever. And so that's why we're seeing him kind of act out because what we want is for either Danielle to step up and say exactly what she feels and what she wants without thinking that she's gonna hurt his feelings, and we want him to do the same because these two have been married for at least 15 years, and all I see is them tiptoeing around each other, and it makes me uncomfortable as a viewer to watch. And then when he finally says the thing that he wants, she's like, "I didn't expect Garrett's reaction to be that." Girl, just leave that man. Y'all didn't sign a prenup, I'm sure. Just take half and go. Just take half and go. So, in episode 9, Danielle has a talk with her brother and her sister-in-law. If you would not believe, these two names are Sam and Samantha. Okay, married. I'm sure when they were dating, it was like, "Oh my God, my name is Samantha and your name is Sam. We're meant to be." They probably literally got married simply because their names were the same. So Danielle talks to them about her brother about the fact that, Bert hasn't come to the US yet and her visa is almost going to be expired. And so what was the point of everything? And so Danielle doesn't have any faith that Bert is going to actually leave and come to the US. And her brother was like, "But don't they want to have kids? Like, it doesn't make any sense for Garrick to have kids with Bert. So then he's just gonna basically have to live half of the year in there, half of the year here." And Danielle's like, "Oh my God, I didn't think of that." Like, yeah, I don't know like what kind of dad he's gonna be. Like, I would hate for him to have to leave us to go like be there with Bert. And Danielle fully believes that Garrett loves and wants Bert more than he wants her and loves her. And so he's constantly having to reassure her that that is not the case. But B, he really does just want a fresh start with his hot Brazilian wife. His like curvy Brazilian wife. That is who he wants. He wants that new. Somebody who makes him happy, somebody who he can laugh with because Danielle doesn't seem like that person. The person we're seeing on TV, it's like these two know each other for a long time, but it feels like they don't truly know each other. It just it rings so false. Not false, but it rings so like, "Oh, we made a covenant, so we're still together," at least from Garrick's perspective. So when she tells him that she doesn't think it's a good idea for him and Bert to have babies until Bert gets here, he's like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "I don't think it's a good idea because we don't know if she's actually gonna come." And he's like, "But if she never comes, we're still family." And Danielle's like, "No, if she doesn't come," and that's not what Danielle says. Okay, what she should say is, "No, Garrett, if she does not come to the US, then she's not family. The whole point of us bringing somebody in is so that we could be here and raise, like, we're building a house for her to come here and you can have wives and we can have more children. Like, I can't have any more kids. It's not for me." I honestly feel like Danielle must had a lot of complications in, like, with her pregnancies, including postpartum depression. I really do think Danielle has like depression, clinical, and I just think that, yeah. Anyways, so I'm not a therapist. I don't know her life, but I could just feel it from her that she gets sad very often and like sometimes can't pull herself out of stuff. So he's like, "Oh no, I'm fully gonna have kids. Like I'm fully like if even if she lives there, then that means that I have a wife who lives in Brazil." And Danielle is so taken aback by the fact that Garrick would actually go and live in Brazil for a certain part of the year to be with Bert. Like she fully feels betrayed and she fully feels like, "Oh my God, everything that I'm thinking is true. He truly does love her more than he loves me, and he's willing to leave his family and go be with her." And I'm like, "Yeah, Danielle." And so she doesn't tell him on camera, like, "This is how you're making me feel, and I don't agree with this. I'm gonna tell you right now, if Bert doesn't come and live here, then I will no longer be on board with this, because 'cause you're not gonna split your time between Brazil and the US. You are gonna be dedicated to the family that you currently have. I have divorced you in order for this to happen, and you doing that makes me super insecure. This doesn't feel like it's a good thing for me." She didn't say that because I feel like if she did say it, she would be worried that he would leave her, that he would just be like, "Okay, then yeah, no, I'm out." Whew. Whew. So he's I can't believe he says, "So you want me to wait 5 years to have kids with her?" Yeah, I do. So Roberta finally meets the Merrifields because they go to Rio de Janeiro to meet her. And I realize now that this family has been together, or this dynamic has been in the works for over a year. And Danielle and Garrick cannot even take the times out of their lives to learn a little bit of Portuguese. It is absurd the way they use one person's phone to translate what they're hearing out of another person's phone. It's absurd to me that Danielle doesn't understand how to speak into a translator app now. She still speaks English in a way that is not clear and concise. So I know that there is miscommunication with that Brazilian translation because a lot of things don't translate. When you speak into a translator app, you can't say, "I can't wait for you to get here. I'm on pins and needles." You can't say that. What you can say is, "I'm excited for you to come and live with me." Because on pins and needles and "I can't wait" doesn't necessarily translate. "I can't wait" as a sentence is like, I am physically unable to wait. Like, "Oh, can you wait here, sir, while I make your breakfast?" No, I cannot wait for the breakfast. You understand that? I'm on pins and needles. Like pins and needles is definitely like an idiom. That is something that like the literal version of it does not translate. Cause then I'm sure if it does translate it, it'll be like pins are poking me or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make sense. And so yeah, annoying. Thank you, Lynn J. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, you guys, and subscribe if you're interested in this content. So I'm just really annoyed with the Merrifields for not learning a little bit of Portuguese, because when they go there, some of the things that they want to say to her are not complicated statements. Like, I want you to buy a plane ticket. They could learn that. They could learn that. Good morning. The fact that he was like, bomb dia. Okay. And bomb dia. Oh, bomb dia again. Okay. Okay. You haven't picked up any words? You talk to this woman what? Weekly? And you haven't picked up any patterns or anything in the words? It was annoying to me. So the Merrifields fly there, they get there, they meet Bert, they're so excited. They actually have a translator there to provide that support. Production gets the translator's opinion, which is like, we don't need her opinion on what she feels about polygamy. And so the translator is there, like, basically talking for Bert and the Merrifields. And they talk to her about starting to have kids before she gets to the United States. And Bert is like, oh no, I don't want to have kids until I get there. And Danielle is so relieved and happy that this is out of the way, because she was really worried that these two were going to move forward with something that she wasn't comfortable with. And that night, Danielle has to sleep alone, and she allows them to sleep and have some time together. And of course, she has to tell the camera how sad she was to wake up alone, because, she sleeps with Garrick every night. And I just truly don't get the big deal. I truly, truly don't. I don't understand that. I've slept with people, and sleeping by myself is honestly better. It's not better, but it's easier for me because I wake up thinking that I'm gonna like turn over on them and stuff. It changes my sleep pattern. But I don't know if her and Garrett cuddle all through the night, and so she's just used to his body around her, and so that's weird. That could be what's going on, and I can understand that. So when they wake up, they don't even have much time in the bed talking to each other, because Bert immediately wants to go and see if Danielle's okay. So Bert gets up. Could you imagine that could you imagine that you're in a polygamous or you're starting to date a polygamous couple, and your sister wife is struggling with jealousy? So majority of your, not majority, but a portion of your time with them who wanted you is to constantly check in with the sister wife to make sure everything is okay. They're the ones who wanted you, and now you have to mother and puppy and baby this wife. No, I would just get out of it. I'm not going to do this. Like, it's not the new woman's job to coddle Danielle. Yeah, check in with her and make sure she's okay, but the amount of coddling with Danielle that needs to happen is like out of sight to me. So she goes into the bed with Danielle, and Danielle is speaking just like the worst, most broken English, and she's like crying, and we're just like, why? And she's like, I want you, sister, heart, family, heart, you, ticket, Colorado, Pinky. These people, the Merrifields, are so, and this is not, I know it's not malicious, but I wish that Americans would do better. I wish that Americans would do better with their with their understanding of making space for a foreigner, truly showing respect to that foreigner and like being honest. Being honest. And listen, there are people who this is how they operate. It's just it's not within my family. So I don't understand that tippy-toeing around each other in order to get things done. And let me tell you, we could use a little bit more tippy-toeing around people. We honestly could. But it's not in the nature. It's not the way it's been. You just like say the thing that you feel and you just like say it. It's just like she just was speaking to her in the stupidest English wording, and when you could have just learned that sentence. You could have just learned that sentence. Hi, Bert. I really miss you. Please buy your plane ticket as soon as possible and come to the US to live with us. That is not a hard sentence to learn. You don't have to like just learn it and say it in her language. Anyways, so they then go on a tour of Rio de Janeiro with Bert and the translator to try to get some idea of where Bert comes from. And again, we have got some privileged white folk over there in Brazil being like, "Oh, oh my God, it's really poor here." And I said, "Have you guys never seen poor in America?" Like I mean, the house structures are not the same, but there are so many poor people in the US. For you to come over here and be blown away, like you've never like, "Oh, we didn't realize that this is where she came from. Oh, now we understand her struggle." And the woman's like, "Oh yeah, there's slums over there." And then like, she grew up in the slums, and then they're like, "Did you feel safe?" Like I grew up in a small town and it was safe. Danielle, do you not know that there are poor people who live in bad neighborhoods, black, white, and other? Like this poverty that you're seeing right now is the same poverty that they have in the US. Thank you, Tiffany. Like it is the US. You are so out of touch with that. And also, I truly didn't think that what they were showing me was that bad. Now, they didn't like take us all the way in. I just get so weird. I get so annoyed with Americans who go to other countries and they're just like taken aback with things to me that don't even look that bad. Like I've seen, not in person, but on like camera, I've seen some spaces in other countries that are, yes, worse. But I'm like, it didn't look that bad to me. They're just like very, very upper middle class, like blinders on Christian folk who like are just out of touch. And then they were like, "Oh, like you know what it was akin to? It was akin to seeing like Americans go over to Africa and like go into a village and they like hug the village child that has like dirt all over their clothes." It was a little like that. Like, "Oh my God, we didn't realize how poor she was." It's just it's just pretty shocking. Like there's just a lot of poverty here. I'm like, there's a lot of poverty everywhere. There's a lot of poverty everywhere. The fact that you have not seen it at all is like bizarre to me. And I hated that whole scene because it just felt, I don't know, it just felt patronizing. It just felt super, not patronizing. They didn't patronize her. It just felt super ignorant. And it was just stupid. It was super ignorant. Unstupid. Oh, wow. I've been talking for 45 minutes. What have I talked about? Okay. So she's like showing her childhood. And then when Danielle asks if it's safe, Bert's like, yeah, I played hide and go seek and had a good time with my friends and we had electronic devices. Like, no, it's fine. But these Merrifields are over here like, "Oh my God. Oh my God, it's just so poor here. Your life must have been so hard. You've just like gone through so many atrocities and like I understand now why it's hard for you to find a job. Take our hands. We'll help you." It was just like too much for me. These houses are pretty run down. um, it's sad and pretty amazing that she turned out the way she did. I mean, they must think of that woman as like literally crawling from the trenches. They think of this woman as she just like crawled from the, I mean, just like crawled out from the gutter, just like made a different life for herself. And then we see her mom. Her mom's hair is great. Those eyebrows, but the hair, great. And the mom is sad that her daughter is gone because she says that, you know, she's been with her mother all the time. She says she's gonna have to take some like drugs in order to be okay once she leaves, but she's hoping that she'll be able to communicate with her every day. I don't know if Bert is the only child and her mother is sick and that's why it's a hard thing, but she says that, you know, the mother says that she doesn't want to hold Bert back from her happiness. And at first she didn't trust the situation, but now she does. And then again, Garrett and Danielle are like, you, family, heart, mom, you are my mom, crying. Both Garrett, yeah, crying. And she's like, I trust you with my daughter. And do they think that the tears make their situation seem like more real? The tears are annoying to me. So the mom gives the blessing, and then they wake up the next morning and they do a one-way ticket for Bert. But then they go on a walk on the beach, and Bert has some things to say. Bert feels betrayed about them finding another sister wife. And it looks like there was some kind of miscommunication between Bert and Danielle and Garrick about how okay Bert was with it. And then Danielle starts to cry. And she's like, I thought, you know, we were over this. I thought you were okay. You know, husband Garrett told me that you were fine. And Bert says, no, I wasn't fine. I didn't want you guys to look for another wife. I felt like you didn't love me anymore. And so Danielle's like, I didn't want to make you feel like that. I'm on your side. And the truth is that Danielle is not on her side. She's not. Danielle is on Garrett's side because she wants Garrett. So Danielle, yeah, she's not. Danielle truly feels like Garrett is her man and she's leasing him out to Bert and she's doing her best to make it all work. Because the moment Garrett isn't with her, she feels betrayed and left and jealousy. She's really insecure. It's crazy. So she then cries and has a breakdown and has to take some time away. And then she goes up to Garrett and she's like, hey, you know, Bert was not okay with us looking for somebody. And so she expressed that to me. So Garrett says that he's annoyed because he's like, why are we bringing up old things that we've already squashed? So then he goes to have a conversation with Bert and Bert is crying and saying like, I felt like you didn't love me anymore. I felt like you just wanted this new person. And the whole time he's just like touching her shoulder and like, it's bothering me because I feel like I'm like, get off me. And then he doesn't say the thing that he should say, which is, Bert, we haven't believed that you actually wanted to come to us. And we, out of fear, were worried that we would never have you in our lives. So we started dating because we can't wait forever for you to come. Like, we want to bring somebody else in and we want you to come. We want you to be here, but you have not bought your ticket yet. So you tell us, are you coming? Because if you're not going to come, we're going to continue dating. Not that we don't love you. We do love you. But God has called me to this lifestyle. And if you don't want to do your part to come here and be a part of our family, then there's only so much that I can do. That was the conversation I needed to have with Bert. Not like, oh, okay, well then we're just going to stop dating then. Like, tell them why. Tell her why you started dating. It just felt from us that you didn't want to come. So anyways, they assure her that they won't be dating anymore. And then they buy the one-way ticket. And she has 4 weeks now to get her life in order to move. It would be hilarious if Bert did not get on that plane. because they looks like they have a fight next episode where they're like, you were intimate with her. And it was like, oh, it was just a kiss. And it's like, that is intimacy. So she's actually quite pissed. But I honestly feel like if they had just told her what the catalyst was, then she would have to take responsibility for her part in that. But they also should have communicated to her with like, hey, you know, we're worried. So within that worry, we want to start dating somebody else. It's not that we don't love you and we don't want you here, but like we need that emotional connection and that like physical connection with the person sooner than later. Which sounds messed up, but if that's what they want, that's what they want. Okay, next couple that we are going to talk about are my favorite, which are the Epses. So we've got Taryn, Marcus, and India. So the first scene that we have with them that I remember from episode 9 is we've got Taryn in the bed with her like hair curled in those yellow things. And I love it. I love a little behind the scenes of Black women. I mean, now you get it on TikTok all the time. Like everybody's on TikTok in a bonnet. Anybody with kinky curly hair is on TikTok in a bonnet. It's a thing. Now, let me tell you, I was doing it on Instagram before. I was doing it on Instagram when I had hair before they girls were doing it on TikTok. So he is talking to her about Janae and how things went, and India comes into the room and they, you know, just kind of chop it up about whatever's been going on. And so he ends up meeting Janae again, and this time it's in a bar. She's got on a colorful headscarf, and he says that he didn't think he would hear from her, but she's in town this time. And she reached out to him. And so he feels like, you know what, there might be something there. She's intrigued to a certain extent. So he goes there. They have a long conversation about what I can't truly remember, just about, I guess, being bamboozled and feeling like it came out of left field. And that she wouldn't be down with this relationship. She asked some questions and he answers. But the real thing he wanted to do was have his wives meet with her so that, you know, she could get an idea from the woman's perspective so that it all wasn't coming from him and his awkward way of introducing it. So Janae meets with Taryn and India, and they have drinks, and Taryn kind of explains like how this relationship all came about, her difficulties with it, and how the family dynamic works. And then India goes in and she's talking about how she's not quite ready to share Marcus with anybody. She's not quite ready to have the schedule change to where she doesn't have Marcus's full attention. Now the tension's being split 3 ways. And so Janae's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable and like just kind of understanding it from everybody's perspective, to the point where the next time we see her, she refers to it as a family dynamic. And I think that when you refer to polygamy as a family dynamic or a familial dynamic as opposed to a lifestyle, then I think that you are starting to become more open and honest, more open to it. Not necessarily honest, but more, because it truly is a family dynamic. And I think that that is the better way to put it, to describe it. So he asks Janae, Marcus asks Janae, like, what did you think? And she says, you know what? I'm not sure that I'm super into it. And India brought up a lot of things, and Taryn more so was talking about it from her perspective. But I am starting to see like what the draw is, and I'm getting another idea of what polygamy is, or at least your brand of polygamy is, based on having conversations with the sister wives. And so she still isn't opening, like she still isn't with it, but there's something there. And so, you know what Marcus says that I thought was really interesting? He ends up saying that he isn't trying to move old girl in right away. Like, he's like, I want you, I go after the things that I want, and I'm going to put it all out there. But we can still date. We can still get to know each other. And we can still do all these things. However, I do need to know that before we do that, that the answer is an absolutely no from the jump. If there is still an open window for you where you're thinking about it, I would like to date you. But once that window closes, once you truly realize that this isn't something for you, you would have to tell me so that we can stop. And that's not what he said, but that is what I interpreted it. Like that's what I feel like he might happen. When he told her that he's not expecting her to move in right away, I really was like, good. I'm glad that you said that because it feels to me like it is that is what needs to happen. So he ends up staying with Janae the night. He falls asleep in a woman's room. Now, I don't know if it's because the drink had taken him, but I am on India's side for this. There is no reason for that man to have spent the night. There is just absolutely no reason. There are Ubers, there's all kinds of ways. Like how you just fall asleep in not your bed is baffling to me. Unless I was like drunk, there's no way I'm falling asleep in my clothes not in my bed. There's no way. There's no way I'm just like falling asleep on a couch in somebody's suite. Like there's no way. And so India's like, I didn't know where you were. You know, you weren't answering. And he's like, well, I called Taryn because that's the last one I spoke to you on. And she's like, I don't have your location services. He's like, you do have my location services. It's just that I don't have it because he's like, something's wrong with your phone. And she's like, regardless of if there's something wrong with my phone, I don't have it. I said, you got a homegirl over here stressed out while folding up a scarf. Where'd she get that scarf from? I'm like, it's not even cold in Florida. You got old girl stressed out. And he gets defensive at first, but then he realizes, I think he backs out of that. Because in his mind, it's like nothing happened, so like you should forgive me. But it's not about something happening. It's about the fact that you like, I don't know, allowed yourself to fall asleep at somebody else's space. Like that is unacceptable. It isn't like how does that even happen? Unless he was like jet lagged and mid sentence he just like fell off. Or they were watching a movie and then he just went to sleep because like I'm like, did she not wake you up and be like, "Hey Marcus, you're snoring. You should go home." Like what happened? What happened is what I want to know. I just yeah, anyways. So Taryn seems a lot more forgiving and I think Taryn always will be a lot more forgiving. I'm pretty sure that Taryn has a very specific and more laid back um reaction and response to Marcus, and it could just be because she's been with him for a long time. And so truthfully, she loves this man and like he made a mistake, he's going to continue to make mistakes and like, you know, it is what it is. She was definitely refereeing between India and Marcus. And India was not having a moment of it. A moment of it. She will put Marcus's feet to the fire at any moment. And so for me, that is the juxtaposition to the Merrifields, where you have people who are openly and honestly arguing and talking about how they feel and what they want and what they're comfortable with. But then you have the Merrifields where it's not that at all. It's very confusing. It just feels like a lot of light-footed skiddly doo-dahs. And then every once in a while, Garrett says something where it looks like he's having a backbone, but it also is very telling that he just is ready to move on with Bert. And if Danielle want to come, she can come, but you won't have to stop all that crying. No, I think he's like interested in like making her whatever. So I think he's, I don't know. I don't understand it. How do you go from like being sick of somebody and wanting to leave them right away to then becoming a polygamist with them and then they're crying every single step of the way and you are there to comfort her? Like what was she doing before? Because the crying, I would have been out. You can't be crying all the time. So the next scene that we have is after the Epps' makeup and Marcus apologizes and kisses each of his wife. India decided that she just needs to move on from it because she, you know, truly is not. She's just upset that it was disrespectful and that it wouldn't have happened to her. There's never going to be a scenario where she's that drunk with another person and that she just doesn't come home or she doesn't call everybody's phone and tell them what's happening, you know? So they're okay. Then we have him meeting with Bina, and I truly thought Bina was out the running. I don't see them for them. I don't see Bina for them. I really don't. And I don't know her, so I can't even truly say it because all I'm seeing is whatever I'm seeing on TV, and I'm not seeing it. She like I don't see it. I do not see it. I don't see it. I don't see it for them. I would see Janae more so than I would see Bina. So they go to have coffee, and we end up finding out that they've been a little bit on the outs because the last time they had a conversation, Bina was out and about and he asked her where she was and she just said out, and he was like, why can't you tell me where you are? And so he got a little aggressive with her on text, and she was like, oh no, you're not. I don't know why you think you're my man. You're not. And so he then had to apologize for her for that. And he's just like, I like to know where you are. I just need to, know what's going on. And she's like, I don't want that. I don't want to be like questioned or caged. Like, I'm a free spirit. I do me. And even when he's like, hey, how's your business going? And he's like, I want to take some credit because I pumped you up on it. And she's like, she truly isn't interested in this man telling her what to do. And if she is, she's on camera, she seems uninterested. And I think he still wants her too, and I don't get that. I don't get it, personally. I'm sure she's a very lovely person, but she feels to me very flighty. I think she has kids, but so I don't know, like, there's something about the energy that's very unorganized, and I just that's not me. That couldn't be me. So he does apologize to her, and she accepts his apology, but she feels like she can't be caged. And my thought is like, I didn't think he was trying to cage you. I think he was trying to ask you where you were going, and the fact that you wouldn't tell him or felt the need to like push back in that moment is weird because like I will always tell somebody where I'm going. Well, that's not true. I won't tell my family where I'm going. But if a friend of mine or someone I'm dating asks me where I'm going, I'm going to tell them where I'm going regardless of if they're gonna be mad at me or not. Like, "Here, this is where I'm going." Unless what I'm doing is something I truly don't want them to know about. And I think that's probably where his mind went. It's like, "Why can't you just tell me where you're going?" It's not that big a deal. So, that's it for the Epses. The next couple that we're gonna talk about is the Joneses, and let me tell you, I don't have a picture of them every single time. Let me tell you, Tasha's mother just, like she came out swinging. So Tasha meets with her mother because Sidian is in the Philippines meeting with Ariel. I can't ever say it any other way. Somebody ought to nail that girl's fins to the floor. Ariel. Anyway, so she meets with her mother to tell her mother what Sidian is up to, and the mother is shocked and taken aback. And then when she tells her mother that actually she is the one who introduced Ariel to the lifestyle because she met Ariel when she was in Philippines a couple years ago or whatever. And so then the mother was like, "Oh, so you're out there recruiting, you're out there." Oh, what's happening with this? There it is. Your mother's out there recruiting. I mean, you're out there recruiting. You like brought somebody into the cult. And she's like, no, I didn't bring her into a cult. I mean, what, a cult of two? And she's like, yeah, a cult. And so, as many times as Tasha has explained to her parents what polygamy is, they are the most judgy of the judgiest. I don't know what they think polygamy is. Well, we heard it. The mother says that she feels like polygamy is one man controlling one woman, and another woman, and that they groom them. And she actually accuses her daughter of low-key grooming Ariel. Like, and I'm like, I'm like, listen, I guess you can groom people virtually, but it's pretty hard to do so. It's pretty hard to groom somebody when you haven't seen them in over 2 years. So it's just I just don't like that energy she's bringing because she feels like Tasha's going to one day wake up and realize that this wasn't the lifestyle for her, even though she admits that because her and her brother had families and raised children all in the same household, which I'm like, how big was that house? So she understands why Tasha would be open to a big family environment. And I said, based on that alone, why are you not accepting of this based on the fact that you are the one who put polygamy and the idea of or a family dynamic of having many adults in the house manage more children. Why is that weird for you? Also, why doesn't Sidian and Tasha have kids yet? That's just a side thought. Maybe she's pregnant. Who knows? But I mean, the fact that she has to keep on defending herself to her mother is just annoying because the mother is just such a bigot. Like, it's crazy. She thinks that it's a cult. I wish people would do research on what a cult is. The fact that Tasha is even allowed to talk to her mother already makes them not a cult. So we go back to the Philippines and talk to Sidian and Ariel. And this whole time is basically them getting to know each other, and then him talking to Tasha on the side about proposing to her. And they realize that they are going to have to do the proposal, and that Tasha and Sidian won't end up getting married because they have to have Ariel come to the US, and the best way to do it is the K1 visa. And aren't they so cute trying to explain to us what the K1 visa is? Bless their little hearts. It's so sweet. It is so sweet. I was like, Sidian, those of us who watch Seeking Sister Wives are avid watchers of 90 Day Fiancé. I bet my bottom dollar. I bet you just explained to 95% of the people who you just explained that to know exactly what the K1 visa is. So I really do like Sidian and Ariel together because Sidian seems really nervous at every front. He knows he has to marry her. He knows that it's going to be rather quickly. And he's worried, but he knows that this is really the only recourse. They have to take a bunch of pictures to show that they're in love so that they can get back to the US and start the dossier of like how they've communicated and why, they should be able to get a visa to come to the US. So he. So Sidian takes Ariel snorkeling, which Ariel does in jean shorts. I said jean shorts in this water. Okay. So he says that while they're out, the hotel is putting together a super sweet like proposal event for them. And when they get there, she is so happy and says how things are so cute. And he has this speech where it's mainly just like, do you trust me? Do you love me? Do you like me? Do you feel like I can protect you? How do you feel about Pokemon? Do you like kids? If you do, will you marry me? And she says yes. And, it's a sweet moment. They kiss each other. And I think they eventually call Tasha and tell Tasha, and Tasha's happy for them too. The one thing that Tasha's mother's really kind of annoyed about is the fact that Sidian is bringing this other woman to the US and not marrying Tasha first. And so her mother's like, you're putting yourself on the back burner. And she's like, well, I have Sidian all day, every day. So it's fair for me to give her the opportunity to marry him and to spend time with him. Tasha's very supportive. And their proposal is cute. Okay. Last couple that we are going to talk about. Nawa, that setup looks like a sacrificial altar. Oh, I didn't even notice. They didn't sit down and just like have dinner there. You're right. It was just like a table with like wine glasses that they poured champagne into with the ring and everything. You're right. Okay, last couple that we are going to talk about are the Foleys, and I truly still don't understand this couple. It's very, 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 very interesting. And here we go. Here's our girl, April. Okay, so I didn't take that many notes. Ooh, I didn't take notes about them at all from the past previous 4 episodes. So wait, let me try to think. The last thing I recall for them is that Steven thinks that April is ready to be in the family, and Brenda begs to differ, but only with her facial expressions. And they want to get with her sooner than later, because they're building this house for their second wife to come in and live in. But Brenda still feels like April isn't making the effort to get to know her and to be her sister wife. And I just want Brenda to recognize that April is 21 years old. That April is a bebe. And it's crazy that you, as a 32-year-old woman, do not understand that April is having a hard time with this because she's never even been in a regular ass relationship, let alone a relationship with two people where she's expected to get to know this old lady. They are not even in the same generation. Okay. Brenda is a millennial. I want to say that Steve is a Gen X, but he might be an older millennial. I don't know how old he is. If he's 40, I think once you are born in 1980. So if he is 42, then he's technically Gen X. Brenda is a millennial. And old girl is a Gen Zer. So these are three people with in different, what is that thing called? Generations? They're in different generations. And so it is weird to me that Steven thinks that he is truly relating to this 21-year-old on any true level, besides the fact that, she's, could you imagine? Listen, I'm dating someone right now who owns his own home. And that is freaking crazy to me. I mean, it's not that I've never dated somebody that owned their own home, but not on the West Coast and the East Coast. Yes, it's very easy. Like, if you live in New York City, you could just throw a rock and find somebody that owns their own shit. But like, but like, the fact is that she's 21 years old and she's dating a man who's staunchly in his 40s and 100% settled and got his life together. So even that is got to be new. The guys that she's probably used to talking to, their most prized possession is their stupid souped up car or their like collection of manga series. Like, she's a baby and she has found and is dating and is with somebody who is much older and probably takes her out on great dates, shows her a side of life that she would not see if she were dating men her age. Like, I mean, you guys don't understand what that feels like. I mean, maybe you do. If you were ever in your young effing 20s and then you all of a sudden started dating. When I was 24, I dated a delisted celebrity who was like 36. And the times that we spent together were like the blueprint of what I expected to be treated and like dealt with. And this person and I didn't even like go out in public. We literally kicked it at his house. But even that interaction was leagues and bounds better than when I dated guys my age. Like, going to live with a whole man that has his own home with like pictures on the wall and rooms decorated and colorful things and like a kitchen stocked with food. Also, like, if you don't want anything in there, I'll order takeout for you. Let's watch this movie. Are you comfortable? Do you need a blanket? Do you want to go in the pool? Like, having that as opposed to going in some like little 24-year-old home who's got hodgepodgey furniture. You're not sure when's the last time they cleaned. They got the video games going. If y'all are ordering food, because he don't got none in his house unless it's like Bugle Bites, Baby Bites, or whatever, or like Eggos. Like, if you guys do order food, it's the cheapest you can find, and he for sure isn't paying for you, or it's pizza. Like, that juxtaposition and dichotomy, April is 100% sold and in line. You can oh my God, Teresa, Brenda looks like she's head of HR. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Oh wow, yeah, so true. So, like, to me, whenever he's like, things are going really well with April, I'm like, of course they are. She hasn't come into her full femininity and womanness yet. Of course they are. She thinks she's grown, which I'm not going to take away from any 21-year-olds who think you're grown. But let me just tell you about you 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, and 23-year-olds, and 24-year-olds, and 25-year-olds. Let me tell you something right now. All you all you older Gen Zers. Why are you guys called Gen Zs and we're called millennials? If Generation X was before XY, I guess we're not called Gen Y. That's what it is. Okay, anyways. So let me tell you, I know you think you are grown now. Specifically and especially if you have kids and a full-time job and you like pay your own rent and take care. I know you do. And you are. However, you are not at the end of that. You are at the beginning of the grownness. There is so much more you will learn about yourself, you will learn about the world, you will learn about the people around you. Your people, the people you actually know around you. You are still growing and you will get better and you will learn exactly who you are. But at 21, you're not there yet. I'm just telling you. That is just, I'm not trying to take away from the fact that you've grown. I'm just saying that there's more to learn. And making these kinds of decisions this early on doesn't allow you, can stunt that growth. Because they're talking about bringing this woman into this relationship and they don't even know if she wants to have kids. If she's going to want to take care of Brenda's kids, if Brenda has kids. Like, they're not asking her to just get into a relationship with her boyfriend. They're asking her to join a family unit and to live a specific lifestyle that may take away from her friends and her family. I'm not saying it will, but that's just what it is. So Brenda's not convinced though, and I think Brenda needs to go way more on her understanding of it, because I think that Brenda will be able to find a nice older Latina for him. Steven has made a pivot. You know what I'm saying? Steven has made a pivot, and he is like, I would like a Latina, please, thank you. Also, the way Brenda dresses is just so upsetting to me. Like, it's just so basic. I just want more for her. I want better for her. I want better for Brenda. Yeah, and mainly because she's on a show. If she wasn't on a show, I wouldn't care. If I was walking down the street and I see her, I wouldn't think anything. I always think that the women who wear shirts, long sleeve shirts with like cutouts on the shoulders or up here, I always think, oh my God, you were like, oh my God, look, I'm showing a little skin and being sexy. Like I feel like that's what's happening. And I want to support that because you're like, oh, look at this little peekaboo. Now the people who wear those leggings that are like that, I'm like, oh, ma'am, you're better than me. You're better than me. Jazzy shoulders. So now the house is almost done and there's walls up and whatnot. Come to the house, see the progress. And that kitchen is rather small. No? Sometimes it ages her, honestly. It's impressive how bad it is. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. Brenda's fashion is really bad. So sometimes when I see people who are building homes and I look at the kitchen that they choose to do, I'm always quite confused as to why. That kitchen is not big enough. If that man wants to have 3 wives, that kitchen is not big enough. You need a kitchen that has 2 sinks, 2 refrigerators, 2 stoves, if you can do that. If you can't, I understand. And like a long ass island. That island with that little bitty sink at the end of it is just, unless that's just the kitchen that's on this side of the house. Unless he's kind of divvied up the homes to where they're all kind of their own little suites and they connect through like hallways and such. Listen, that's what I would do. So what you do is you have a major living room, right, in the center. Okay. In the center, right? And then you have a like square of space up here with a wall, and then you have a square of space over here, and then you have a square of space over here, and you have a square of space over here. So the center, and like maybe the door is like in between two of the things. So the center is where everyone congregates. So like we say, everybody can have the same like living room situation. But if you go off into this direction, you're going to go into a space that has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and its own little kitchen, and maybe like a breakfast nook or like a little kick-it, like a little den. And each corner needs to have that. To me, that makes sense. To me, that makes sense. So if that's the case, then all right. But otherwise, if that's the only kitchen in that place, it is unsatisfactory. It is not. That pantry needs to be bigger. The space for that refrigerator needs to be bigger, because I felt like Preston was laying in the space that needed to be the living room. I mean, the refrigerator. I just thought all around it was too small. So Preston is there. Jordan is not, but Steven says that he's been talking to Jordan every day and their relationship has gotten better. Now, I don't know if I told you guys this, but after the first episode where we saw Jordan in it and I did my recap, little Miss Jordan DM'd me. And of course, I didn't see the DM till like 2 weeks later. But then I was like, what is this? So I went and clicked on it. And she's in there telling me that I don't have any right to talk about her and her family, and that she doesn't want me to ever speak about her again, and that I know nothing about their family, and that to talk about the way her and her brother say things. I don't know. It's not their fault that nobody got them help to like fix it, and that I don't know what the dad has done or something like that. And then she was like, I would love to explain it to you. So then I read it and I was like, should I even respond to this? Because I feel like she's a child and like, I don't want to interact with children. So I did respond and I apologized for talking about the way that they spoke. And I told her that if she wanted to talk to me, I would absolutely speak to her. But unfortunately, she is on a TV show, and that I review that TV show. And so I'm going to give my opinion about said TV show. And if she is in any future episodes of that TV show, I would talk about her. But I would do my best to not be mean. And then I proceeded the next episode to just talk about how the fact that she threatened to not talk to her father ever again was immature and like X, Y, and Z. So that's happened. And then she when I was like, if you want to be on the show, like if you want to come on my show, I'd be more than happy to have you. And she was like, no, thanks. As though she didn't offer it. She literally said, I would love to talk to you about it. And then when I was like, okay, she's like, no. I was like, okay, girl, like whatever. But anyways, I just wanted to give you that little bit of tea since it's been about like 6 weeks since it happened. It's not that big a deal. But I'm glad to find out that she was talking to her father every week after that and like, making more of an effort. Steven is really awkward with his kids. This is the same thing in the same way I feel like the Merrifields are. Why are there people in this world who are so awkward and not being able to communicate? What is happening? It was so awkward. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I would like to meet her or whatever. And she's like, oh, how do you feel? And then when April walked in, I mean, what did we even see that scene for? Because they were just staring at each other. Preston had his arms folded like this, which means that he is like either nervous and like trying to like, hold it together or whatever. And then April was so obviously nervous and awkward that I think Preston might have just picked up on that and been like, oh my God, she feels the exact same way I do. And I thought it was probably a really good way of Preston seeing that April isn't as bad or like an evil woman. The fact that she was so nervous to talk to him. The fact that, they both had the same energy. And you know why they both had the same energy? Because they're basically the same age. They're the same generation. He's 18 and she's 21. They went to high school together. Okay. These are peers. And so that's why when she walked in and said hi to him, she didn't put her hand out to shake his hand. That's why they both didn't offer to shake each other's hands, because they are bebés. And he was doing his best to, like, I guess, like, be a man or whatever, like, be an adult about it. Like, but it was so crazy. And then when he finds out that she's 21, Steven's like, "Yeah, 21." And I said to myself, "Steven, you don't hear yourself? You don't hear yourself? You don't hear your son say 21? Like, Dad, I was a freshman, she was a senior in high school. Dad, you can't date somebody who, like, I would date. Dad, you can't date a 21-year-old. They're the same generation as me. And you and I, you are dating someone who is the same generation as me and my sister, and you don't know how to talk to us. And you're over here trying to talk and have sex with this one? That's crazy." Did you guys know that Gen Z is like, or is it alpha? What is that? Is it Gen Z? I don't know. What's the one? I don't know. I found it in front. Let me tell you. I'm pseudo obsessed with it. Pseudo obsessed with it. Okay. It is millennials. Okay, we know they're Gen Z. Gen Z right now are ages 10 to 25. Gen Z are people born in 1997 to 2012. So you are dating somebody who is in the exact same generation as your kids, who you don't relate to and don't have a fucking awkward ass relationship with. It is crazy. Mhm. Mhm. Like, how do you get along with somebody who doesn't know life before the internet? As somebody who knows what a floppy disk is? How do you truly, what do you truly relate on what matters? Like, everything that they tell you is gonna either be you learning about new stuff or you teaching them about things that you think they should know. So, yeah, this is really weird. And then the alpha generation, Generation Alpha, was born in 2012, and so they're like ages 10 and younger. So it's so crazy. It's just so crazy. Oh my god, I've been talking for an hour and 30 minutes. You guys, I can't believe you're sitting here with me. Thank you so much. Let's see what else. An hour and 30 minutes, girl. Did not expect that at all. I looked at the time and I was like, "Oh, I started this at 12." So Brenda then shows April around the house. It's still not knowing that this is a house they potentially want her to move into. And she's like, "I think it went well." And I was like, "You and Preston meeting, you think that went well? That's interesting." And Brenda was like, "Yeah, well, it's the first step to getting to know the kids and blah 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 blah." I don't even remember what their conversation was like. And then they went about their business. But then we get a conversation with Steven and Preston's like, "Listen, if you're happy, I'm happy. I just want you to be happy." But I could totally understand if Jordan and Preston felt like their father basically moved on and now wants to start a completely new family, and he just left Preston and Jordan to, like, as like his old family. I could definitely see that. Is Brenda gonna have kids? I don't understand. What's going on with them two and their babies? So that's it. We have another episode next week. I don't know if it's the finale. It's going to be week 13. I'm going to do my very best to go live and talk about it. JJ Reacts says, "Wait until Preston turns 40. Will he feel the same way? Who knows? I mean, he might. He might be like, my dad dated a 21-year-old, so it makes sense that I would." They're going to be on Google and Urban Dictionary constantly. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Thank you, Pamela. Did you guys know that Ben and Mahogany are apparently engaged now? Listen, I want more information about that. You guys, if you want to check out JJ Video Reacts, she has her channel here on YouTube. You can also follow her on Instagram, and she does 90 Day Fiance coverage. She's part of the Matt Sharp review gang. So check her out. Sean and Sarah creep me out too. It's so awkward as well. Sean and Sarah from Love After Lockup. Who's Sean and Sarah? From Love After Lockup? There's no Sean and Sarah in this show. They awkward? I don't. You mean deadbeat dad, Sean? What is happening? Oh, yes, like Sean and Sarah of Love After Lockup. Yes, okay, sorry. I'm now understanding what's going on. I'm not following the conversation, so I don't know in what context we're talking about them. Whew. All right, you guys, we did it. We did it. We made it. We made it an hour and a half, and that was 4 episodes of that show. And honestly, like, did that much happen? Truthfully, that could have just been 2 weeks worth. You know, because not that much. The needle didn't move very much, except for the Davises. They're the only needle that moved because it was over a long period of time. All right, guys, I'm gonna get ready to skedaddle and go to work. Went a little late today, and then chose to like catch up on some live streaming. I still have to talk about 90 Day Fiance UK, so hopefully I'm able to do that tomorrow. Okay. And you guys don't forget to check out DocuSweeties. It is my podcast with Chris Farah. We drop content twice a week. We've got Love After Lockup review. So if you guys are interested in knowing what my opinion is on Love After Lockup, please go on ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts with DocuSweeties. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're not on Facebook, and we're not doing anything on TikTok, but it is DocuSweeties too. Every Friday, we will be dropping our review of The Most Hated Man on the internet, and we're both going to watch Untold, the story of the fake girlfriend or whatever. Remember that scandal that happened a few years ago with this guy who was in, I think, like college football level, and he was doing really well, and he had been catfished. He was like one of the first national catfish stories. I honestly feel like it was his incident that sparked the conversation about catfishing and actually sparked the show Catfish on MTV, if I'm not wrong. So that's going to be a really interesting documentary. So if you're interested in that content, please go on ahead and follow us on our podcast. If you are interested in supporting us in other ways, we do have a Patreon, as low as I saw somebody become a patron for $5 for us. So I guess you can actually, I don't even know, but it's $10 a month as far as I know. I have to and you would get content as fast as we can give it. So once we record the item, we immediately upload it to, what's that place called? Patreon, and our Patreon viewers get to see it first. And we thank you to all of our patrons so far. We love your support. And that's it, y'all. Thank you for those of you who support us here on YouTube, and have a fantastic day. And remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. Oh, let me see. Did anybody? Thank you so much for all the cash apps. I appreciate it, Ted. Someone gave me a cash app last time, and that was Sarah Rubio. Thank you so much for that, either Venmo or cash app. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.